everyone, to another episode of Circle City Conversations. Thank you to our sponsor, Limontes, an Indiana law firm with many years of experience helping injured Hoosiers and their families. And speaking of many years of experience helping injured Hoosiers and their families, we are here with an excellent trial lawyer who, like me, helps people seek justice, my friend, Raeanna Spahn. So tell our listeners a little bit about you. Some of the folks that are listening that may not know who you are, have met you before. I know I've known you for years through the course of Chris Eskew, who you work with, and then also the Indiana trial lawyers, and we've worked and collaborated on cases and legal issues and things like that. So tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to pursue a career in the law.
Okay. Well, I grew up just outside of Madison, Wisconsin. My family still lives back there, and went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison for undergrad. And when I graduated, I worked in Milwaukee for a couple of years, but realized I wanted to go to law school and moved to Indianapolis. I didn't know anyone when I moved here to Indy. Not one person. Just up and moved, went to law school, and it obviously worked out really well. So I'm glad I did that.
Milwaukee. What did you do there?
Milwaukee. I worked in sales. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do when I graduated from undergrad. So I thought, well, let's get a job and figure things out, not make any rush decisions, and worked in sales for a couple of years, 3 years in Milwaukee.
What did you sell?
I worked for GE Medical Systems, selling different equipment, imaging equipment.
Okay.
And then I worked for a company called Pitney Bowes. It's a mail machine company. So I did mail machines and software for shipping. And then decided to go to law school and a little bit of a career change.
Your undergrad, are you a Badger?
I'm a Badger, yes.
Oh, my.
Proud Badger. Proud Badger.
And when did you graduate from undergrad? But because you took some time off in between, right?
3 years.
Yeah.
Yes. I graduated in 2003.
Okay.
And then when I went to law school, I did the part-time program. So I was working full-time during the day, which means, and then going to school at night, which means it's a 4-year program. So it was a long 4 years, but worth it.
And that was here at IU McKinney?
Yes, it was. It was.
What was your day job during law school?
Well, the first couple of years, I was a bailiff in a criminal courtroom. And people who maybe don't work in the court sometimes always assume that I was the deputy who had a gun walking around in the uniform. That was not what I did. I was basically like a judicial assistant. I helped call cases.
Yeah.
All rise. Marion County Superior Court 24 is now in session. The Honorable John L. Hamill presiding. You all now be seated. So I would call cases. I would update. I would coordinate if attorneys weren't there. I would give them a call. I would coordinate what order the cases would be called. I would, at the very end, I would update the computer system with what happened after the courtroom session. But it was a great way to meet people. I met lots and lots of public defenders and prosecutors during that time, which was great for networking. And then actually that helped me get a job later on down the line. And then when I was in law school, the other 2.5 years or so, I worked at Barnes and Thornburg. I was a legal secretary there. So,
did you work 2 jobs, or you did the bailiff job first and then you were a secretary or legal secretary?
Bailiff job first, and then after that, I was a legal secretary. So I didn't do both of them at the same time. I'm not that good, but yeah,
a little crazy.
That would be a little crazy. Yeah, one full-time job plus law school was enough for me. So both were great experiences. I met a lot of people, networked, learned a lot, and it was very valuable.
I remember in law school, I was in the day program, but I knew, sometimes you take some night classes, especially if you're depending on your schedule. And I knew a lot of people that were bailiffs that worked in the court system, were either bailiffs or did something over here in the Marion County Court, and then they would go to night school. So I noticed that quite a bit over there. And so while you were doing that, do you remember, because you said you would call cases, do you remember the old software system that they used to use there, the program called Justice?
Was it the old DOS one?
Yeah, it was the old DOS program.
Yeah, that's what we used.
Yeah, how horrible was that? But it worked. Right?
It worked. I don't even want to say it was horrible. It worked. If it works, it's good in my book. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I was in courtroom 19 as a public defender, so in misdemeanor court. Now you went on, you were a prosecutor, right?
I was, yes.
And where were you a prosecutor at?
I was here in Marion County,
Okay.
and my first courtroom, speaking of courtroom 19, I was a prosecutor in courtroom 19. That was my first
Oh my gosh.
courtroom that I was in. Normally they bounce you around a little bit, move you to different courtrooms, but that was the first one with Becky Pearson Tracy.
Yeah.
Learned a lot in that courtroom. And actually, that's how I ended up meeting Chris Eskew. He came in as a defense attorney one day, and I got to meet him. But just the number of people that you meet when you're exposed and you're in that environment is really amazing and valuable.
Yeah. And you turn a lot of cases.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes was it when you were there, did they used to put the piece of paper up on the bulletin board out there, like in the hallway, like the docket or the slate or whatever, and they were like, these are the cases that we're going to see today? Do you remember that?
I think so. I think court staff did that.
Yeah.
But it was
It's like 40 cases in a day, 50 cases in a day.
It was. I would show up for court with all of my plea deals already prepared, because you just don't have time when you have that many cases to just write something up on the fly. Yeah. So I would come to court with my files and my pleas already prepared, so I could just hand them out to defense attorneys when they came, or make adjustments to them. And then, like, what would happen too is that at the end of the day, you would determine, what court trials you had. And it would be like, state, call your first witness. I might have potentially up to 5 court trials that actually go in one session.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know, it is. But you learn how to think on your feet.
It was fun. I had fun looking back on it. I do miss those. It was kind of crazy, but also, we had a lot of fun too. And everyone worked well together, depending on the court. So when you were in 19, I'm guessing you would have tried your first jury trial within a few months of being a lawyer.
I want to say it was pretty quick. It was pretty quick. My first trial was against Mark Nicholson. Do you know who he is? Yeah. He's a great attorney. We've become very good friends. He made me a much better trial attorney.
Yeah, he's an excellent lawyer. I saw him at the City County building, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. I was there for a meeting, and he was on day 2 of a murder trial. Yeah. So do you miss doing the criminal stuff?
Maybe there's aspects of it that I miss, but I'm really happy with what I do now.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So was there like maybe a particular moment or a case, or maybe even a mentor? You talked about Mark Nicholson, that made you realize that this is what I want to do. This is the kind of lawyer I want to be.
Plaintiff's work?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I think maybe I ended up in it by default, because I did everything else leading up to that. Mm-hmm. I was a prosecutor. I then worked in civil defense for several years. Then when I came aboard with Chris, I did a little bit to help him out, some criminal defense. So I had pretty much done every area of law leading up to me doing plaintiff's work. And then when I got started doing plaintiff's work, it just felt natural. I felt like it was just a very good fit for me. So I think sometimes in life you have to try things out, and you'll kind of figure out what, feels good. And that's what happened to me. I just worked in other areas, and I gained momentum and skills, and then ended up in plaintiff's work. And now I do intend to stay there long term, because I feel it's a good fit for me as a person and my skills.
So you have really built your own practice. Is that fair to say? I mean, some of us, me, for example, I started working with Bill, and Bill Hurst is Bill Hurst. Everyone knows who he is. He's been around forever. And so we had cases that we worked together, but you had to build your own PI practice, right?
I did from the ground up, from the first, the very first case, and all the forms, all the templates, everything that needed to be done. I had to do on my own from scratch. And I received a lot of help along the way, and I've had great mentors. But I did build it from the ground up. It was a little terrifying at first, but I had faith in myself and my abilities. And it's worked out really well. I'm really happy with the work that I've done for my clients. And it's very rewarding. It really is.
Isn't it?
It really is. That day that I give my clients the check is like the best.
Right. Well, because, usually when they come to us, something really bad happened to them, right? And we can't change that. We can't change that. If we could, we would, but we can't. And all we can do is try to help them get compensation. And I tell all my clients the same thing. I'm like, I can get you money, but it really is apples to oranges, because most of our clients, I'm sure you would agree, they would rather have whatever it is they lost. They'd rather have that back, than any amount of money. So the fact that you can get that check, that amount, whatever it is, and then be happy with that result, it really is what makes, and it sounds like you're the same way. It really kind of drives you to keep doing this, so that's awesome. Let me ask you a little bit about, the civil defense work. You mentioned you did some of that and you were building this practice. Did you bring any of that stuff with you? Not as far as not like forms or anything, but maybe that experience or some of the connections that you made doing the civil defense work when you started working with Chris and building that plaintiff's practice?
I mean, yeah, sure. From every job that you have beforehand, I mean, you obtain different skills and knowledge, and you use that to help, momentum in the next job you take. And I learned a lot about just, strategy-wise, how defense operates, things they might be looking for, maybe red flags in a case, how adjusters, maybe things they're looking for, knowing just too, like reporting requirements that all defense attorneys have, knowing that they're going to need so much time, after a deposition to get a deposition report to the adjuster, and then to be able to do a report to summarize, what maybe authority they're looking for. So I kind of understand the processes and procedures, what they may be looking for. And I've definitely, used whatever I can to help my clients now that I do plaintiff's work.
Yeah. And where did you do defense work? Was it at a firm or in-house or?
Yes, I worked for State Farm Litigation Counsel for 2 years in Crown Point, and then I worked for a firm, Eichhorn & Eichhorn in Hammond, for just under a year. Both were great firms and worked with really intelligent people. I'm very fortunate for that.
So the region, huh?
The region, yes.
They duke it out up there. They battle it out up there in that area. I've had some experiences with some Chicago lawyers that are they approach the cases differently than we do.
Well, I wouldn't call them Chicago lawyers.
No,
no.
The region.
I would actually. It was such a positive experience. The Lake County attorneys that I worked with. So I came up from Indy. I came up from when I was a prosecutor, because I knew I wanted to do civil work. So I moved to Crown Point so I could transition and get those skills. And the Lake County Bar Association and the members there, maybe it's because it's a smaller legal community, everyone, I thought it was just a great working relationship with defense counsel and plaintiffs. The civility, I thought, was very high there. And I, for the most part, didn't deal with Chicago attorneys a lot, but they do have a horrible reputation. Chicago attorneys have a horrible reputation. But we had our own little community of like Lake County, Porter County, and everybody was very civil.
And that's, even like Elkhart, all those counties are up there in that area. Well, that's probably further east, isn't it?
Yeah, I had cases in Elkhart, in Michigan City, and going, and in South Bend.
Yeah, because that interstate, what is that interstate that runs across there?
Toll road. I just call it the toll
The
road.
toll
Yeah, the
road.
toll road. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Eskew Law. The Eskew Law, they're known for strong advocacy, client-centered approach. So what drew you specifically to that firm, and how has working there kind of shaped your career?
Sure. Well, I first got to meet Chris when I was a prosecutor.
Yeah.
And I had cases, with him. I remember having an OVWI case, operating a vehicle while intoxicated case with him, and going to his office. And I just really liked his office. I liked the atmosphere there. It didn't feel like a stuffy law firm. It felt like it just felt very comfortable. And I remember just really I thought he was very smart. I liked the work he did. I just thought his mission of helping people aligned with mine. And then coincidentally, I'm just so fortunate, when I was living in Lake County, he contacted me and asked if I was interested in coming aboard and starting at his firm. And I was very interested in learning more to see if it was a good fit, because I already knew of him, based on criminal cases I had with him. And I think it's really a big deal to say, if you're working in an opposing counsel relationship, and if you have respect for the person on the other side, if you admire them,
Yes,
that really, I think, speaks volumes. And it was, I think, a great opportunity for me to come on board. He didn't know that I'd been doing civil defense the entire time.
really?
Yes, I think we just lost track. And he wanted to know if I wanted to do family law and criminal defense. But then I said, hey, have you ever thought about maybe starting a personal injury practice? And he had mentioned he had thought about it, but he wasn't quite sure, who could come aboard and handle that. And then we decided that would be kind of what my long-term goal at the firm would be. And I'm so fortunate it worked out the way it did.
Do you have an opportunity to they try cases there, lots, the criminals. Let's talk about the criminals.
Sure, yes.
Sure. So do you have an opportunity to work with them on some of the trial prep and stuff like that? There's some similar skills, lots of overlap there.
Yeah, there's similar skills. And sometimes people will come, because I have that background of being a prosecutor. Sometimes people will come to my office and be like, hey, want your thoughts about this or that. Mm-hmm. For the most part, do they do that on a daily basis? No, absolutely not. But sometimes it just helps to pick other people's brains. I think sometimes if somebody is in a case and they're so focused on the case, it's nice to get an outsider's perspective, or maybe somebody who, doesn't do criminal work to get their perspective. I have, they've asked me if I wanted to sit maybe second chair on a couple of jury trials. And my thought process is, absolutely. I don't want to lose those skills. Yeah. And just having, understanding the rules of evidence is such an important skill that you can use, civil or criminal. And that's one of, actually, I'd probably say the most important thing that I learned at the prosecutor's office is mastering the rules of evidence. And I've been able to apply that and feel very comfortable in a courtroom and making objections and understanding how to admit evidence. And that is so critical. So I don't want to lose that. I never want to lose that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've got Ben Jaffe over there, right?
Ben Jaffe, yes, he is.
He is an amazing lawyer. I remember watching him when I was a young public defender. Yeah, and Carrie used to be court partners with me in 19.
No, I didn't know.
We were PDs together in 19. Yeah, so but he does a lot of family law now.
He does a lot of, I think, criminal defense.
Okay.
Carrie York, right?
Yeah, Carrie. Yeah. So, Carrie's wife went to, I think she went to Chittard with my sister-in-law, because we're the same age-ish, maybe.
Ish. Well, we're all very young. We're all very young. Yes. So if we just lump it into that young category, yes.
Yeah. So, but you guys really do have a great group of lawyers there. And I've known Chris for a long time. We were public defenders together. He was across the hallway in drug court. And I think it was Judge Salinas' court. Yeah. Because
Jose Salinas. Yes, I was in his courtroom too.
You were?
I was, yeah.
Chris was there. I think Chris was there for like a hot minute, and then he went up. There was a major felony drug court, wasn't there?
There was.
Yeah, I don't know who the judge was.
Court 14 was the, more, I think.
Mm-hmm.
not the major felony drug.
Yeah. I enjoyed the suppression hearings. I always thought those were fun. Probably not that fun for a prosecutor, but that was probably where I felt the most comfortable when I wasn't in front of a jury, was doing suppression stuff, because you're absolutely right. I think on the prosecutor side, I think it was on both sides, prosecutor and public defender, like they stressed the rules of evidence so much. Like as soon as you got in there, that was like the first thing they started training you on, being able to recognize evidentiary issues. So you have worked with a lot of clients from many, many different backgrounds across central Indiana. What are some of the recent trends or challenges that you're seeing in the justice system, here in Indiana lately?
Oh, trends. I don't know if I want to say like current trends, but I think that there's maybe some consistency with, maybe there just being a certain need in Indiana. I think that obviously with criminal cases, and if people can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to them in a criminal case. And that is not the same in civil. People have lots of civil needs, and there's the Legal Aid Society, and there's different nonprofit organizations, and they do the best they can with the resources they have. There's still this gigantic need of people throughout the state, who need resources and need representation. Like one example might be someone who, unfortunately, maybe their car insurance lapsed and they end up getting in a car accident and causing it, and now they're sued. Well, they don't have someone, because they didn't have auto insurance, they don't have someone to defend them. And, they're looking for someone maybe to pay for an attorney, but they have limited funds.
Yep.
And it's very hard, I think, very hard sometimes for them to find attorneys. So there is, a gigantic need for legal resources throughout the state of Indiana. But I'm sure that's, true in every state.
Yeah. And I know that there's a big need in the more rural areas of Indiana. There's a big lack of lawyers.
Yeah.
Back to, I love that example that you said about someone, getting sued and not being able to have an attorney. I've seen that with property damage. Have you seen that too with property damage, where some lawyers are like, well, I just don't take property damage cases. And then they get screwed, right? Because no one can take the case, and they can't enforce whatever legal rights they have against the other driver, because no one wants the property damage case.
Yes. So maybe we need to do something in Indiana where if there was a law where at least you can get some type of minimal attorney's fees, because that's the problem, is that, if you get, property recovery for someone, it's usually for the amount that, replace whatever damage they had.
Right.
And then the question is, how does an attorney get paid? We have to, make money. And, I had a thought the other day. I don't know why. I think this would be kind of interesting. You look at all the attorneys who have student loan debt, right? And then, I wouldn't it be nice? And there's obviously there's different programs for people who do, who work full time for nonprofits where they can maybe eliminate some of that student loan debt. I think it would be great if you do so much pro bono work in a year that maybe some amount of, you're doing good for the community, you're helping the community, and there's a huge need. Perhaps some amount of your student loan debt could be, potentially forgiven if you are very active and you do a lot of pro bono work and you're helping people in the legal community. So, and addressing that need.
Yeah. I thought the law school should have a clinic, a civil law clinic. That would be cool. And they could take those smaller cases, and help get with certified legal interns,
It's a great idea.
I know.
Did you talk to the law school about that?
No, I'm not an academic. So I barely made it through law school, but. My family immigrated here from Cuba after Fidel Castro took over, and this government took everything from my family, and that attracted me to be a lawyer. Insurance companies can be like bullies, and they have a lot of resources behind them. Give us a call here at Limontes. We are protective of our clients because Our clients matter, and you matter. At Hearst Limontes, we're a firm that believes in people. We don't just talk about justice or fairness, we live it. The Indiana Fever are trailblazers. They inspire not only in how they play, but how they lead in our Indiana community. Being a father changes everything. Supporting the Fever is one way that I show my kids what it means to believe in fairness, to believe in respect and possibility. At Hearst Limontes, we believe in those same things. The Fever stand for resilience, grit, determination, and heart. They aren't just a basketball team. They're a symbol of what's possible when you refuse to give up. Their impact ripples far beyond the court, and you can see it in the energy, pride, and hope that they create in our city. Whether you're a young girl dreaming of playing in the WNBA or a kid in a small town dreaming of becoming a lawyer, you belong. This partnership is proof of that. At Hearst Limontes, we believe in standing up for those people that are overlooked. From court to court, Hearst Limontes is your winning team. I want to talk to you a little bit about the client-centered approach, some of the clients. Is there a client story, and obviously protecting confidentiality, but a client story that has kind of stayed with you or motivated you maybe in a special way?
Yes, I every single case leaves something with me. Some of them, leave different things with me. And without going into specifics, I had a very unfortunate case where a woman passed, and related to her case, she suffered with drug addiction. And it was a wrongful death case. And throughout the case, I got to, really get to know her family, her mother, her children. And, I think people have this, negative perception about people who might be addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're human beings who maybe have had a lot of trauma in their life, and they're doing the best job that they can. And I think that having that empathy and that understanding and getting to know people and their children is really important to me, because I want to be able to help people and advocate for them. And I think that's kind of maybe a hurdle that we might go through at jury. Maybe people have these negative perceptions of, certain individuals. But I think that is our job, to make sure that they understand, justice, is for everyone, not certain people.
Yeah. That access to justice, that's been forgotten here with some people. Justice should be available to everyone, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I totally agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about being a female trial lawyer here in Indiana. You're in a boys' club,
Mm-hmm.
So you were just I saw you at the Indiana Trial Lawyers seminar. It's nice to start seeing a lot more diversity and a lot more female trial lawyers there. I remember starting with ITLA many, many years ago. It was a good old boys club. Yeah. So what advice would you give a young female lawyer entering the legal field today?
I would say the best advice that I can give is don't be intimidated, because I think sometimes, sometimes I think maybe it's a strategy of opposing counsel to try to intimidate a female attorney. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think that strategy is particularly, useful. However, is your case that poor that you need to use intimidated tactics on a female attorney? So you have to peel away the onions as a female attorney and see, there's more going on here. Maybe they're actually pretty insecure about their case and they have a very loud bark, okay, but no bite, So don't be intimidated. You are good enough, keep moving forward. Yeah. Don't back down.
I love that. That's great. What are some any specific examples that you can recall where you faced a challenge as a young female trial lawyer?
There's challenges all the time. Sometimes I'm not even aware of them, because you just get used to. I only know my life through my lens,
right?
And I probably experience challenges that I don't even every day that I don't even maybe I'm so used to that I don't even think about them anymore.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Oh gosh, things that I've experienced as a female attorney. I've had, like I said, people who are intimidating. I have had people who, have really tried to, just intimidate me in general and do things that maybe I'll tell a male attorney what happened, and they're actually appalled. That he's just doing that to you because you're a female attorney. But you know what? You just can't back down, and you got to realize that every person who makes your life harder will only make you can make it yourself stronger.
Yeah.
And turn that potential negative in a positive. Nothing phases me anymore, and you can't get to me. And you reach that point. You just have to keep pushing through until you get there.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. We're going to change gears a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. So the law is a very demanding profession, and you've kind of been around, done different areas of the law. And you've seen how it can be demanding in different ways, particularly in certain areas. So what are some of the strategies? And by the way, you look fantastic and always look amazing. So what are your strategies or habits, that keep you grounded and keep you motivated and keep you healthy too?
My biggest thing is being present.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is, how often have you been on vacation and you started to think about work or things you need to do when you get back, right?
Mm-hmm. All the time.
All the time. Or you're at home and it's the weekend and you start thinking about what you need to do on Monday. I mean, I think that's just natural. I think when you care about your job, it's automatic to do that. But it takes away from the ability to recharge and rest and relax when your brain is somewhere else. And on the opposite end of things, when you're at the office, how often, when maybe you get a moment of downtime, now you're thinking about, oh, I really want to go on vacation, and how nice would it be, to be on vacation here or there. And then you're not being maybe as productive as you could be while you're at work. So my theory is whatever you're doing, whether you're at home relaxing, you're on vacation, or you're at work, try to be present and to do the best you can in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how many times my wife tells me that? All the time, be present, Alex, because I'm always thinking about the next thing.
How can you recharge if your brain is constantly going and running on a hamster wheel?
Gosh, I feel I must be the biggest hamster in the world.
Well, you're doing something right, because you are an excellent attorney and you're very grounded and you're doing something right. Maybe I should be taking tips from you. I think I should be. So,
well, I'm always glad to give them. I don't know if they'll work, but always glad to help. So let's talk a little bit about some of your hobbies. Like what do you do outside of the law when you're not? I know you love to travel. You've been to some really amazing places because I follow you on Facebook. So I see all the beautiful pictures. But any hobbies, routines, anything that you're doing outside of the law, passions?
Sure. Yeah. Like you said, I love to travel. I that's really important to me. I was 16 years old and I begged my parents to send me to Spain, and they eventually surrendered and they did it. And I got to go to Spain when I was 16, and that was just such a life-changing experience, to experience different cultures. And it's really given me a lot of perspective, and I've carried that with me throughout my life. So that's really important to me. But in addition, I love music. I've always loved music ever since I was a teenager. Loved listening to, Pearl Jam in my room, or Bush, or different shows, different CDs. And I still have carried that with me. I like to go to concerts. I like to listen to music. It's a moment in which I think that you can really, escape and, lose yourself in the music, listening to Jack White, and, and it's just
Yeah.
It's almost therapeutic for me. Like when you talk about what you do to de-stress, and that's another thing too. I think, you find something that's important to you. Music's important to me. I've got 2 dogs that I love. Just petting them, they say that's very therapeutic too, petting your dog. And I have 2 dogs that I love to pieces. I live downtown Indy. I love working on my house. My dad was so funny. He was like, you shouldn't buy a house. It's so much work. But I love it. I love, painting the trim, and I love planting things, and I love, taking care of something, because, having something that's important to you and taking care of it, I find a lot of value in that, and get a lot of, I don't know, it's very positive.
Like to do it, whatever it is, and then see the result and be like, I did that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, sometimes I'll be working in my garden and people will drive by and they'll say, I just love your yard. It's very rewarding, adulting.
Right? It's all.
But I get satisfaction in it.
Well, let's go back to music. You guys sponsor Tonic Ball, right?
We do.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Do you go to the shows and everything? I mean, because it's like, is it like a day or 2 days? I've never been, so I know Chris is gonna. I know. I've told Chris this many times at least. Like, you have to go.
Yes. Next year.
I know.
Please.
To go, and I've got a couple friends. I think it's a band called Chick Grizzly, like a local band. They play in there. I think they played in Tonic Ball before, so I really should go, because I'm like you. I love going to concerts. I love going to shows. I would rather see a live show, even if it's a band or someone that I don't listen to all the time, because it's always so much fun.
Oh, yeah. We need more live music in it. We have a lot, but is there such a thing as too much? I don't know. You look at Nashville and the answer is no, right?
Oh, right? Gosh,
right?
I love downtown Nashville. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about clients, and what are some of the most important things you think clients should understand when they're navigating the personal injury legal system, the civil legal system, for the first time?
The first thing that just comes to mind is that it's slow.
Yeah.
It really is. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's slow. It takes a lot of time to order medical records. It's not like we just get them same day. It takes a lot of time to order bills. Requesting all of that takes a while, and then putting it together, and then the insurance company needs time to review it. If, you're not able to resolve a case pre-suit, then filing suit, then filing the complaint, then they've got to file an answer, then going through discovery, then setting depositions and mediation. It's a very long process. And I know it's frustrating. It has to be frustrating. And I just try to have a lot of empathy for my clients, because they're accruing and they have medical bills. They, are suffering, and they just want to be able to move on with their lives. And I wish I could give that to them quicker, but I never want my client to accept a settlement that's unfair.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I always, it's my client's decision, whatever it is, whatever to accept. So I always think it's important to relay all offers, but I give my opinion. I always tell my clients they're the boss, so whatever they want to do. But, the last thing I want to do is for my client to take something that, isn't fair, to be able to pay bills or, take care of themselves. So it is a struggle, and it is a challenge. And I just try to listen to my clients and realize and hear what they're going through, and let them know what else we need to do in the process so they understand. Most of the time, if you explain, hey, this is where we're at and this is what we have left to do, people are very understanding. So just taking the time to explain that is important.
Yeah. And good on you for telling them, because, you get a lot of lawyers that these get checks now, fast, quick settlement now, like shit like that, and you're right. We can get you.
Yeah.
We can get you
something.
$2,000. We could get you $2,000 on your $200,000 case. Yeah, we could do that, but it's not fair.
Yeah.
And it's and it flies in the face of what we're here to do, at the end of the day, because we're trying to help these folks out. But yeah, the process is really a difficult thing for them. It's grueling for them because like the mental drain on them, like just getting worn down after months and weeks of waiting.
Yeah. Bills that go to collections. I mean.
Yeah. And then we can only say, well, listen, we'll call the bill collector and we'll try to keep them at bay for you, but can't guarantee that, and, sometimes these bill collectors get pretty aggressive. So what do you think is a common misconception that people have about this practice, this area of law, personal injury?
Kind of on that same note is I think that people have this idea that people file lawsuits are money hungry and they're looking for this big payday so they never have to work again. And from at least I can tell you from what I see. And from what I see, people who file lawsuits are people who've had literally one of the worst days of their entire life that they wouldn't typically wish upon anyone. And they've gone through a significant hardship. And all they're wanting to do is to be able to pay bills, rebuild their life, get their lives restored as best possible they can. So that is really, from what I see, people just trying to be treated fairly.
Yeah.
And I think some people don't understand that until it happens to them. And then they're like, wow, okay, yes. So that's what I see.
Yeah. And then they get to see when it does happen to them, they see what you and I see every day, which is like, it's not like Jake, the friendly neighborhood State Farm guy. Like it's like the dark underbelly of the insurance industry, and their job is to save money on claims.
It is. But I've seen a lot of things that just don't sit well with me. And, the insurance company is not there to advocate for them. That's our jobs. And a lot of people have been kind of put in some not so great situations, because they didn't have someone representing their interests.
Yeah. What are some of your goals that you have for your own practice and the impact that you wish to make as you continue to grow within Eskew Law and the indie legal community? Because you're out and about. I see you places.
You see me places.
I see you places. You're out and about. So
I want to say, what I would like to see for myself in the future is, I think I told you when I started the personal injury practice, I, got a lot of help from other people, and I've had a lot of mentors in my life that have helped me and, gotten to me where I am. And I'm just so lucky and appreciative. And I would love for, the next coming years to have an opportunity to pay back that and to be able to be a mentor, and the younger people coming up, helping them. And, hopefully they won't struggle as much. Everything that I've learned, hopefully I can impart some of that to them. So I'd like to be able to be more of a mentor and start giving back now that I've, had an opportunity to learn from so many people's experience and knowledge. Yeah. So I'd like to do more of that.
Yeah. I do think that you do learn a lot from the mistakes along the way.
That's true.
The struggle, like you don't want to see the other other lawyers kind of go through that. But at the same time, it turned you into the person you are today, the lawyer that you are today,
True.
So, but there's one message you hope that our listeners take away from your work and the story that you've shared with us today. What is that message?
Civility.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be kind.
Be kind. That really is an important message in the law, but also too, I try to take that and apply it to my personal life.
Yeah.
To be, instead of and showing people, I think, how I want to be treated, how other people should be treated, trying to be serving as an example to others, being the person who holds the door open, being the person who lets people in traffic, being the person who sends a card when somebody's sick and checking in. Being the person who shows up at events and asks or calls later on and asks them, hey, I know you did this the other day, what's going on? Just being a kind, civil person. It applies Well, civility applies in the law always,
Yeah.
but I do try to apply that to my personal life. And I think that hopefully it makes the world a better place. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I try to do that.
It absolutely does. I love that you said letting the car in. Well, that's like totally a PI lawyer thing to say. Like none of us, I feel like if you do enough car crash cases, you will literally just wait. You would rather just hold up traffic
Oh, yes.
than try to squeeze in there. Just let them in because that's when the crash occurs. Right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. More like somebody's merging and they're trying to get in.
Yeah.
You know, and then doing the old Midwest wave, you know, that's important,
Yeah.
right? Low shirt, come on in.
I don't know if I ever told you this story. So I'm from Florida originally. I moved up to Indiana, and Floridians are a different breed of people.
Are you Florida man?
I grew up around Florida man. He was everywhere. Like, so, so I moved up to Indiana and I'd never experienced this Midwest kind of hospitality before. I'd never even seen snow before till I was 18, my freshman year. And people would drive down the road. I went to Hanover, Southern Indiana. People would drive down the road and they wave at me and I'd be like, I would just be like questioning, like, why are you waving at me? What do you want from me? Like, I was just like, is there a motive behind this? Like, what's going on? And it took me a good 4 or 5 months to figure out that these are just people from Indiana. And that's just like what they do. Wave at strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no ulterior motive.
Just,
hey, you know, hope you are having a good day and good afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. We do need a little more civility. We need a lot of civility and, you know, a little more love. You know, one of our core values here is más amor por favor, which means a little more love, you know, please. So, we try to live by that if we can. And our clients need it too. You know that. You see them all the time. I mean, they're so like beat down by these insurance companies, especially the longer they've been trying to deal with them. Like if they've been trying to go it on their own, you know, like when they're like, oh, I thought I could do this, you know, I sent them all the records and stuff. And then they get a $1,000 offer for pain and suffering or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's going through something, whether it's our clients or me or you, somebody always is. So I think that, you know, slowing down and being nice to other people can make a really big difference in other people's lives because nobody's coming up to you and telling you, hey, I'm going through this in my life right now. People are not walking into the street, but they are. And I try to live my life understanding that and trying to be, you know, aware of that.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes you a great plaintiff's attorney. Yeah.
I hope so.
If any of our listeners want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Sure. They can email me directly if they'd like. Raeanna, Raeanna at Eskew, Eskew Law, LAW.com. Otherwise, they can call my office, 317-974-0177. You can also go to the Eskew Law website, www.esquelaw.com, ESKEWLAW.com. We also have a presence on Facebook and Instagram, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Guys, they're great lawyers over there. I know that because I'm a great lawyer and I know one when I see one. Plus, I've worked with them for a long time. So I've known Chris for a long time. So and everyone over there, a lot of people, gosh, I've been around for a long time. 17 years, 18 years. I think I worked with Carrie 17 years ago. Or maybe 15 or 16.
When did you graduate from law school?
07.
Okay.
But he wasn't my first court partner. I actually had a court partner who got busted and disbarred.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
he got in trouble and he was disbarred and then Carrie stepped in after that because I think he graduated. I think he was like a February bar, maybe.
Okay.
Because some people graduate in December.
Yeah.
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 Maybe.
Yeah, he's good people. He really is.
Oh,
That's what I love about Indy is that, a lot of the people that I've, known from my courtroom days, I still know, and they're all good people. And it's just nice to have friends and like not just I know someone, but friends in the legal community. That's one thing I miss though about not being criminal, I guess, is being in courtroom and seeing people all the time.
See them all the time.
Yeah, those connections.
Yeah. I have to get Carrie to come on the show. I'll send him a message.
You should.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was so much fun. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening to Circle City Conversations. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any more future conversations.